I introduced myself to all of you. I didn't do a 60-second pitch this morning because I knew I was going to do this. So I'm Raj. Me and Jules on the VIP, some of you might know her. She joined October 22. I jacked my job in July last year and joined the VIP as well. So property is not my sole source of income because I do some consulting on the side, but property is my main source of income in the future. With Jules, built a property portfolio over the past 20 years, so I've been in property for 20 years. Telecoms is my career, my background. Commercial is my specialism. I've done plenty of things in the past 20 years, including worked in startups, worked in corporate. I designed and built my own house. A bit of a control freak sometimes, people say. I also jumped into this kind of feet first. And really thinking through how I can scale quickly. Totally buy into everything that you've just said, obviously. I think there is a moment in time, and we've heard Frank tell us this. For those of you that know Frank, he's saying this, Aaron said this, that if you want to buy property, now's the time to buy property. So we went on a bit of a journey. So we started off on holiday lets. Does it sound familiar to anybody? We started off on holiday lets. We tried to marry the holiday let strategy. We had various deals that worked, didn't work, fell through. We didn't get any holiday lets in the end. And my kind of thinking on that was, just the process takes too long, it's too time consuming for me. So I'm impatient, I've given up a job, I need to do things quickly. So for me it's about getting to scale. As you said, obviously, scale, I'll tell you what that means for us. We want to buy 40 to 50 properties in the next 12 months. We're going to do that two-pronged attack, buy portfolios. I'm going to go through a couple today. It is deal or no deal, so I'm going to say, would you do this deal? It's going to be one of the questions, so it's a little bit scary, but we'll see. And then the other thing is, we've very much signed up to Frank's way of thinking. We're building a property portfolio from the bottom up as well. So Jules is working on what we call our new gold mine area, which is Liverpool. So we look at Liverpool, Manchester, the northwest. I buy portfolios, and Jules is looking to buy properties, all at a discount in that gold mine area. So that's basically what we're trying to do. We're working with investors to do that, so we've got a pot of our own money, but I think it's been said a few times, your money's going to go so far, and then sooner or later you need to find investors. So that's our story. So I've got two deals. Go to the first one, Clive. Let's get down to that slide. So this is a portfolio of Wigan. Let me just kind of set it up for you, give you a bit of background. The landlord is a portfolio landlord. He's had over 1,000 properties over time. He's got his own lettings agency, so he understands the business really well. So I'm not going to go in, and I'm not going to be able to negotiate a stupid deal with him. I'm not going to be able to pull the wool over his eyes or anything like that. Not that you would ever try to do that. But he's got 20 properties in Wigan that he's wanting to sell. Why? So in getting to know the vendor, I'm saying, well, why do you want to sell? And his reason is he's scaling down his whole portfolio. He's only got about 200 left now. But also, he's got a friend that's got this great renewables deal, and he wants to go and invest in that. So he needs to release £300,000 to go and invest in renewables. That's his motivation, as well as slimming down his portfolio. I talked about AVM earlier on today. So AVM is an automated valuation methodology, and the portfolio has been valued. I valued it at 2 million when I did my comps, and then I got the broker to do a valuation on all the properties. I sent him all the properties, and the AVM came back at 2.1 million. So that gave me confidence that 2.1 is the ballpark for this portfolio. When I spoke to Frank about it, he said every day of the week take the AVM. So that's what you would take. So obviously it's not my valuation. The AVM says it's 2.1, so there's a bit of a margin of error on that, but that's what we should go for. He's accepted a 1.7 million offer. Obviously I started out lower, I didn't get the 1.6, but he accepted on a 1.7. We're moving ahead on that now. It's very realistic as well. I was talking earlier on to somebody in the room about the time to close the deal, and he's really comfortable that we close the deal in the time that it takes to close it. So there's no kind of, you've got to bridge in and buy it really, really quickly, otherwise you're not doing what you're doing. He wants to just find somebody that's going to do what they say and buy the properties off him. So he's comfortable if it goes to term loan or if it goes to bridging, but that's a decision that I need to make, and one of the questions I'm going to have for you guys as well.
I just blew that little bit up so people can read it.
Sure.
That's all.
So there you can see the numbers over here. Purchase price, discount, about 19%, the deposit, etc., etc., etc. So funds in, it's about £500,000. Here are the costs down here. This, the rental income will generate £175,000. The net cash flow will be about £80,000 per annum. That's what this is going to generate. If you think about in two terms, now this, by the way, this is how Frank does things. So you go in here. If it was Aaron, I'd be doing a DA for every single property, and then I'd be adding it all up and so on and so forth, which is quite time consuming. But what I'm doing here is looking at the overall deal, and he's going to take a view on things like maintenance and voids. This is a portfolio now, it's not just one property. So the maintenance and voids, I should be able to average out across the portfolio. I should be taking 10% on every single property. In Aaron's world, if I'd done the the kind of individual 20 DAs, it would have given you a false reading. So here, the equity on day one is 82%, the rental return, if you do the numbers, is 16.2, and he looks at this as what's the combined return in year one. Now, that combined return on this deal, if I put 485, roughly 500 in, it's about 100%. So the challenge I've got is I'm going to sink £500,000 into here, and I'm going to figure out whether I bridge it or I go term loan straight away. Obviously, various costs, the cost structure of those two is very different. Then if you bridge it for a short-term period, and then you move to a term loan, you've got two sets of costs. So what does that look like overall? So that's something I need to think through. And this also is where I was coming at you from. You know, you put your money in. What do you all want to do?
Take it out.
Take it out. So that's the name of the game. And go again. So if you want to do that, how do I get my money out? How do I get my cash out quickly and cost-effectively? So I'm going to use the power of the room. I've got another slide that tells you what I'm planning to do, but I just want to get your thoughts on, number one, would you do this deal? How would you do it? Would you bridge it? Would you go term loan? And then, how are you going to get your money out?
Can you just explain term loan? I do know what it is, but and how long the term would be. And
so term loan is like a regular loan from a lender. It could be a commercial loan across all the properties. It could be split up across all the individual properties, but it's going to be a regular 2-year fix, 5-year fix. That kind of loan over a 20-year period or whatever it might be.
So why would you not go for a term loan, and why would you go for a term loan?
Well, I'm asking you the questions first of all.
I'm trying to work out what the advantage of a bridge is other than speed. So why would you not?
Wouldn't the advantage of the bridge be so you can refinance with debt? If you bootstrap the term loan and tie yourself into a 2-year fix, you're not going to cancel out.
Technically, you are exactly right, but I just don't think it's as simple as that. That's why I brought this up. Because what we talked about before is once you buy it at 1.7, okay? And I'm averaging it out, 1.7. It's not 1.7, it's the various different properties and then they total 1.7. But you buy it at 1.7, it's going to be stamped at land registry at 1.7. So when you come to refinance, what happens?
they look at the value.
They go to the last sale price. Yeah. And so they're going to come up with, well, the value's 1.7. What do you mean 2.1? And you're going, well, I don't know, well, I got a discount. I bought it 2.1, why can't I refinance it? So that's the conundrum that we've got. So you're right, Dermot, you're right, you want to bridge in and then refinance back out. How do you do it when land registry doesn't let you?
Proving what today's value is, right?
Possibly.
Some companies won't consider that into consideration. That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the market value.
You're in effect resetting the AVM as well. The AVM would have gone and done whatever.
If you move really quickly at the moment, land registry takes so long to get anything registered. And you can pick a bit.
Yeah.
Get your valuation done for tonight and there's a paper.
Yeah.
Can I just let Brett in here, please? I think he had his hand up. Do you want your hand up as well, Chris?
Yeah.
And then Chris, please.
Thanks for moderating.
Yeah, I just
Right.
wanted to chip in because I love this kind of deal, and I think you should do it. But going back to your outcome, where what you're looking to do is actually to recycle the funds. First thing I thought of was stacked strategies.
Mm-hmm.
As in, strategy number one is you're buying a portfolio. Strategy number two is maybe you're title splitting the houses, if possible, at the point of purchase, a little bit like you were just mentioning, so that you might be able to deal with multi-dwellings relief, theoretically.
Yeah.
And also so that you could then, as a third strategy, look at what is the best strategy per property. And so 20 properties, literally divide them into categories. How many could be HMOs? How many could be blocks of flats? How many could be SA, for example? So that, or which ones do you want to flip? So let's say, there's some that are just nightmare for whatever reason. Those are the runs of the portfolio. Does it make sense to hold on to them just because you bought the total? So that's
I mean, I like thinking. What I didn't tell you is these are all 3 and 4 beds. So is there potential for some of them to be flipped into HMOs? Yes, there is. And I look at that as, I've got to do this based on these numbers, and these numbers have got to work. And if I can then do something else afterwards, then that's the icing that's on top, and that's extra value for me. I'm not going to factor that into the deal right now. But I do think about it, you're quite right.
Some of them were HMOs, and you could do commercial valuations. All of a sudden, you've now got your 500,000 back, potentially.
Yeah, it's like I need to convert them to HMOs and so on and so forth.
Yes, that might finance, and that might be why, to answer your question, bridge finance might be a potential solution, because if you go with a regular buy-to-let lender, they would be very risk averse about you doing any fiddling with the actual structure or the walls.
Chris and then Rob.
Well, you're not taking into consideration doing any work
Nothing, you're just doing it based on these figures.
So for me, again, moment in time, I want to scale quickly. I don't want to buy somewhere and do it up and take all the time doing it up. I want to buy tenants in situ, cash flow straight away, move on to the next one.
So what's the difference between financing on bridge and if you do it on bridge, how much will that cost you based on this? It's got to be the difference. It's a simple sum, isn't it?
It might be a simple sum. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm posing the question to you guys. I've got a plan
Yeah.
that you may or may not agree with in a minute, and I'll show you that. But I'm just trying to figure out how do I get as much money out of the deal as possible. So,
First of all, go and speak to financiers and see what value they whether if you buy it at that, whether they will remortgage it at that value or 2.1.
They won't do it 2.1.
They won't do it 2.1?
No, because it's just been stamped at 1.7.
So how much is it going to cost you for the bridge?
Well, the bridge is obviously going to be higher, probably double the cost in terms of the interest per annum, interest per month, but they're more annualised. And then there's the entry and exit cost, of course. So it is going to cost more. And so if I'm going to bridge it and then refinance back out, I need to, as I said before, think about all the costs associated with those two and put them into the equation. And then see if the two.
1% a month, won't it?
Yeah, 1.04 I've looked at the minute, but yeah.
Can I just ask you, on that basis, if you bridge it, looking for an exit strategy, take back with a normal finance package, why would you, and you're saying if it's that 1.7, you can bridge it, or you're going to just delete them?
You're buying cash then it's not stamped at that then, because you bought the cash, so then it's not a class of the market. So then you put
it's
that on
stamped.
the market too then.
It's still stamped right.
It's not a market value.
It is stamped on a bridge, yeah. It's stamped on a bridge, is what I understand.
If you took a bridge, what value, what's, if you did the bridge, what you expect the value to be?
I'll come to how I'm going to do it.
Rob saying something first, he was in line, and then Mark and I think Mark.
So Raj,
Yeah.
3 and 4 bedrooms,
Yes.
are they all buy to lets
They
at the
are.
moment?
Yes.
Is there a revenue from that at the moment?
100%. They're all occupied. That's all I want to do. I want to buy properties that are tenants in situ and they're cash flowing straight away. I don't want to buy somewhere, sink my money into it, wait for 3, 4, 5, 6 months while I refurb it.
Does
and
it
then
need
cash flow.
this money all at once straight away? Can you not could you option it and phase it?
Okay, so I've asked that question, and when I said, well, when I inquired about his renewables deal, I said, well, I'd like to do that actually. If it's a really good deal, can you send me the details? How much is it going to cost you? He goes, I need £300,000 to go and do that deal. And I was like, so you need £300,000 then? Is that what you need? So I parted on our last conversation by saying, if I can find a way to get you that £300,000, do you think there's a different way we can structure this and structure it differently? Would you be interested? He said, yeah, I'd be interested in something like that. So the option of an option is there, but I've not gone down that route just yet. So it could be a controlled outlay later. I'll buy it at 1.7. I'll buy it in however long.
But at 300 grand out,
Yeah.
you've got a good opportunity for GIM
Yeah.
partner. I wouldn't go for JV because they're too expensive.
Yeah.
But GIM or some kind of temporary finance,
Yes.
depending which is the best
Yeah.
deal, would get you on the ladder
Yeah.
and get him satisfied.
Yeah. I mean, when I come to the second one, it all depends on the vendor, doesn't it? Because for the second one, I proposed something that was slightly more complicated. And I mentioned this before to somebody in the room. There's 2 parties, husband and wife, are separating. But the wife's a lawyer as well. She's like, not doing anything complicated. I am not doing anything complicated. So the option was just off the table there. So he's willing to think about it and talk about it. So that could very definitely be a way to go, yeah.
Because you've got revenue coming in,
Yeah.
that is going to offset some of the costs if it's over a period of time.
Yeah.
Or to go into the
Yeah.
equation.
For me, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
If I'm going to deploy my capital, whether it's my capital directly and or investor capital, I want income straight away.
Yeah.
Mark, I think, wanted to say something.
How's the portfolio held?
It is in a company, but I would not buy the company, I would just buy the individual properties.
Why?
I don't want the potential liability of buying the company. I would, lenders prefer you not to buy the company and want a clean start. So I'm setting up an SPV and buying them into the SPV rather than having all the risk associated with buying a company. And also, if you buy a portfolio in a company, then you bought the company. So if this 1.7 million, actually, he bought the properties 20 years ago and he's only spent £500,000 on buying all the properties. Now you're sat on a gain that sits in the company that there's going to be a corporation tax liability on as well. So that's something else that I'd be going, well, I need to factor that into the price. He's going to go, well, no, I don't want that. So you might get a lower commercial stamp because it's a company purchase. I think it's 0.5% instead of the stamp duty. But for numerous reasons, I just don't think it's the right thing to do. Clean slate is what I prefer to do.
Raj, sorry.
I think you just jumped in. There's two hands over here. Well,
Yeah, well, sorry.
he's using his privilege. Yes.
So he wants 300 grand. How much does he owe the property? Because that would be another factor.
I think he owes about 1.4 properties.
No, how much is this unencumbered?
No, he owes 1.4.
Right, so for you to own it, it's more than 300 grand, isn't it?
Well, it depends on your definition of own, because what I was talking about is an option, so control now, pay later. And actually it probably needs to be an exchange delay completion, because I want some certainty on I'm putting my £300,000 down, then
Yeah, absolutely.
I want him committed. Yeah.
Appetite price.
Yes.
Better, please.
Sorry guys.
Raj, how desperate is it to get if because from what you're telling me so far the options sounds very promising and very appealing obviously, if it was both of you. But if it's not an option, if you're buying the properties, how desperate are you to actually get the money out straight away?
But I'm not desperate to get the money out straight away, but given what we've said is there's a moment in time, that moment in time is 18 months, 24 months at tops. If my money's sat here for 24 months, I'm not getting to go again.
Just raise more money.
I get that. Who's going to come into this one?
Just next slide, if you really want our help and just show us what you're
Well, let me tell you what I'm going to do. Is that you go on to the next one. So here's my plan. So if you look at it as a target, so the target value is £2.1 million. If I was to do a 75% on that means I'll be getting 1.575. So how close can I get to that? Because that's my target. So all the landlord wants, all the vendor wants is £1.7 million. And there's 20 properties in there. Average would be £85,000. If you took a bunch of the properties, so 16 of the properties, and you said they're 100k, that's going to get you £1.6 million. Now, at Land Registry, these are all stamped at 100k. So if I wanted to exit to something else, it's 100k. On the last four properties, I've just got to make up the gap for the vendor. So he sells them to me at 25k a piece. Once he's done that, he's got his £1.7 million. If I go to refinance these, the surveyor's going to come along and look at the 100k one and go, well, it looks about reasonable. 85 to 100k, okay, fair enough. Might have overpaid a little bit, but that's reasonable. But on these ones, 25k, he's going to go, these ain't 25k. If I put these at 25k, I'm going to lose my job. So he's going to go and value those at more like 85 to 100,000 pounds. And if all the other like ones were just done 100,000 pounds, he's going to go, well, that one next door looks exactly the same, and it's 100,000 pounds. So this is probably the price for that one. So my way is to split them up into two, confirm with the vendor he's going to get £1.7 million. He's comfortable by splitting them up into two categories. A bit like you were saying, Brett, but slightly different. And then if I could do that, I'm going to get 75% of 1.6 million, 75% of the 85,000, valued at 85,000, so times 4 is 340,000. So that's 255. So I'm getting 1.455, which is pretty close to the 1.575. Now, your point, Chris, is if I'm going to finance in, bridge in, and then go out to a term loan, I just need to do all the numbers on cost as well, and make sure it all adds up. But that's the theory. Would you now do this deal? Is my question.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, and then Ian? No, obviously then.
So my question is, if you're selling at 25k each, would there be any sort of like, I don't know, like complication in terms of, first of all, how did you get this at that price in terms of if you're leveraging it later? Also in terms of like, is it going to look like so undervalued? Is there going to be an issue with that?
Okay, so I think the only issue comes with HMRC.
Yeah, it's
right?
just taxing.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay stamp on 85k.
Oh, I see. Clever.
I'm going to pay HMRC as if it was 85k.
Interesting.
I'm going to make sure I pay stamp on the whole 1.7 million pounds, and not look like I'm doing something.
Okay.
It wasn't cheeky cheeky, was it? But it's not right.
Okay, so that's how you get around that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ian?
My question was on the same point, but you will end up paying stamp duty on the 100,000 for the 16 properties, because you won't be able to come into HMRC and buy
Yes.
them for 100, yeah, so you pay slightly more stamp duty.
Yes,
Otherwise you
that's
go.
quite right. That's why I need to do all the numbers and look at all of the costs and the kind of finance costs in and out and all that kind of stuff as well.
Just the old stamp will be on the lowest bracket, should we say?
Yeah.
Under whatever number it is. They're all low value properties.
They are low value, yeah.
Because if you buy one piece of one point, the stamp will be overall.
Yes.
higher.
Yeah.
So you'll find it.
Oh,
Are those 4 properties habitable?
They're all habitable. They're all being let at the minute. Yes.
That's a shame.
I could avoid some stamp. They're uninhabitable. Yes.
And get capital allowances to put them back together.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see if we can get some Section 21s and mess the properties up a little bit before we find them.
My cut will be.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point actually. I'll think about that one.
What's the monthly rent they're averaging?
Well, the gross across the 20 is about £175,000. So they're about 750-ish, some 650, 750, around about there. Okay, so that's our first one. Thank you for.
Now's the complicated one.
That was a complicated one. Yeah. The next one is a student portfolio. So portfolio student lets in Chester. There's 9 in total. They're in an Article 4 area, which is good. And why is the vendor selling? Well, they've gone through a divorce. So he lives in Preston now. They did live in Chester. He doesn't want to be managing a portfolio in Chester, nor does his wife anymore. The lawyer, remember, she wants a simple life. So that's the rationale. He refinanced recently with Paragon, so July 23, and the valuation at the time was £3 million for this portfolio. So he got a loan on a 2-year fix based on that £3 million valuation, and so he's thinking about, I buy it now, but then he's thinking about his penalties, or I buy it in a year's time, and the price comes down a little bit from his point of view because there's no penalties, exit penalties for him. My first offer, I've not put my first offer on there actually because I'm embarrassed by it. That's what I said that earlier. But the first real offer was 2.25 million, which he rejected. He's come back and said 2.4, and it's yours. I'm going to view next. So now I'm like, well, this is worth me going to view the properties now. So I can view on Thursday and fall in love with the vendor a bit more, and then try and figure out, where do we land in between 2.25 and 2.4. If it's at the 2.9 million valuation and we end up at 2.35, which is what I'm boldly assuming there, we're going to get about 90% discount as well. My question to you on this one is the same. Would you do the deal? Why don't we stop there? I'm sure it happens. Would you do this deal?
You read out the ROCI.
The equity on day one is the equity return on day one is 83%, and the rental return is 17%.
Is that net
Year
yield?
one.
Is that net yield or gross?
No, that's ROI.
It's ROI, but the costs you can see here as well. So I've taken into account lettings management fee and bills.
No, I don't think it particularly matters. I think probably 6 out of 9 are in Article 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 of them are.
Yeah.
Are you selling yours?
David lives in Chester, and he very kindly went around and did a drive-by, didn't you, David? Yes.
HMO student market in Chester.
Yeah.
Is the unit building blocks? Is that?
So I've spoken
that's
to
been clear?
I called up the accommodation people, and they said since COVID it's gone like that in terms of students. Probably flattening this year versus last year. They see a reasonable amount of international students. So they're broadening their kind of appeal, as lots of universities are, not just appealing to people in the UK. So and these are all, as David said, some are in Article 4, but they're all very close to the university. So I'm comforted by the fact that they're not building loads of blocks. They said they're not building loads of blocks. I asked them about PBSA, and have they got any deals with people building purpose-built student accommodation. Sorry, they said they don't have any deals, but if somebody's going to do it, they just do it off their own back. If they're going to do that, they're going to go and have a conversation with them as well. So I don't think there's masses of building going on. I think there's a market still.
And if, let's assume the worst, they build 10 blocks.
Yeah.
Is there a normal blue collar, let's say normal workers?
Yeah.
Professional
I
market
think there is a secondary market, yes, but I probably need to do a bit more homework on that. I'll be totally honest with you. I need to make sure that if A happens, what's the exit
I think
strategy?
if all the student HMO is trying to switch to blue collar or more professional, then there probably would be an umbrella supply.
Yes.
If they did. So I still think there needs to be a huge demand.
Yeah.
But obviously starting to perform it.
Yeah. I mean, I like the capital growth here more than I do in the Wigan portfolio. The past 5 years, it's in these postcodes, it's like 29%. The capital growth is good. So this for me is a buy and hold, and the other one's a buy and hold as well. So, but here I think I'm going to get much better capital growth, so the refinance opportunity is going to be much better.
So are you thinking of one or the other, or are you targeting for both?
quite greedy.
Good.
It's not either or, I want to do both. The first one is first in the queue, and this one is slightly behind.
And how much profit are you making cash flow from rent and mortgages and the costs?
So rental income's 320,000 and you're netting about 120,000.
Every day. Is that net rent, 320?
No, that's the gross rental, 320.
What's the net rent? After all the expenses, so what?
Well, it's about 116 after all these costs. So after interest payments, all these insurance management fees and bills, I haven't put voids and maintenance in there. And the reason is because, again, it's a portfolio, they're not all going to be the same, so I'm not going to put 10% across all of them, but I probably should put something in there for it, you're right. They're up to the 50 out 52 weeks basis as well.
Yeah, so if you take out more interest costs, what's the net rent after voids and maintenance?
Can somebody do that for me?
Well, it's...
Well, it's 116.
It's 320, take away the interest payments, which is 100, so that's 220. And then you just said the voids. So the voids, if you say voids and maintenance is going to be 10%, it's basically the lettings management fee is 12% in here. So down to 220 and you take off another 30, about 180.
Oh, it's different for a student lend anyway.
Yeah, that's what I said, it's 50 out of 52 weeks of the year, it's rented out, so yeah.
So you pay it, so you buy this at 7.5% rental net. If you look at £180,000 into £2.4 million, 7.5% net rent.
Yeah.
Raj, how has it been valued? Is it been valued on the rentals then?
I think Paragon did a commercial valuation.
So do you know what it would be on bricks and mortar? You're buying it on that student rentals?
Yeah, well the ones in Article 4 I'm assuming are going to be commercial, and the ones outside of Article 4 will be more on bricks and mortar. So it's somewhere in between like I said, I valued it at, I valued this one at 2.5.
On bricks and mortar?
On the hybrid, on both. On commercial valuation, I think that was based on a 7 times multiple, and then bricks and mortar on the others.
Okay, and on the hybrid, there's sort of 3 to 4 beds, are they? None of them are licensed HMOs, did you say?
No, they're all licensed,
they're
yeah. They're all licensed, yeah. Everything's licensed, yeah. Yeah, fours are smaller, so I think it goes up to 9. There's a 9 bed, a 7 bed, a bunch of 6 beds, and maybe a couple of 4 beds.
I was like, I do it, I rework your numbers for HMOs and kind of looks like a buy to let to analyse it to me. Just as an observation, so make sure you're using Aaron's HMO analyzer. There's nothing wrong with bulking it up, right? Like I'm not saying do 6 program how many years, also do 6, but I am saying make sure you take into consideration lending based on a HMO. I've always preferred to buy on bricks and mortar, but you know your decision, you can look at it individually, see how they valued it, because that will be important going forward. As commercial valuations come down, and then it affects your cash flow. And then, but like generally the numbers are going to be right, and they're not going to fundamentally change when you add in the bits that you're currently missing. But I would start that exercise.
Thanks. Any more? There is no. If you go to the next slide. I've got a plan other than buy and hold for this one, so I haven't thought through do I bridge in, do I refinance back out and all that kind of stuff. It's just not in my thinking. I think this is slightly different, and this is a buy the right price, hold, good rental demand. And refinance every how many years because we get good capital growth in Chester.
So Raj, are you doing that by yourself or are you looking for a joint venture?
Oh, thank you very much!
How much did you pay for that, Michael?
Perfect timing. So, on both of these, I'm going to fund the first one myself, but then I'd like to have an investor come in, probably on a guaranteed interest, and then on the second one, this one I'm maybe slightly more flexible, but I'd like to. Now you might understand why I want to get my money out of the first one, because I wanted to go back towards this one. So that's the plan, and then I either get an investor in on the guaranteed interest to fund maybe half of this. But yes, I'm definitely happy to talk to people if they're interested in investing in portfolios.
And they both individually stand up to a decent GIM?
Yes, that's the plan.
Am I right, there's the gap between the valuation that goes on land registry and what you revalue? We're only looking at 6 months.
Yes, so the latest conversation I've had is probably 12 months. So,
is that because it's taken so long to put the stuff through to land registry?
Oh no, sorry, I misinterpreted your question. So yes, when it gets onto land registry, 6 months. if you bridged in, you know, you might get a bridge that's a minimum 3 month term. So you can get out after 3 months, but you're not going to have the valuation increase.
You'd have to make
if you
it
want
at
the
least
valuation
6 months.
increase, it probably need to be in 12 months, is what I'm telling you. I'm being told. So I've spoken to a broker and I said, can you do the entry and exit? So can you do the bridge and get me the exit as well? And what he said is that lenders are saying after 12 months they're pretty happy they're going to do a new valuation and they won't go on the 1.7. But then, to Chris's point, I've now got 12 months worth of bridge costs and so on. So I'll factor that into the equation. Is that really going to work or not? Obviously, I want to get in and out after 3 months, but how we do that?
Unless you're adding value and doing something.
Yes. Which I don't want to do. That's not me. I just want to maintain the rent
It's just invest in other things.
Instead of paying bridge for 12 months, just have a 2-year mortgage.
If I get a 2-year mortgage, I could go to a 2-year term loan and try probably paying a slight premium on that because all the 5 years are cheaper at the minute, blah blah blah. So, and like I said, I'm waiting 2 years. If on this one, it's probably not an issue because if the first one comes first, then on this one I'm probably relatively comfortable going to a term loan. But on the first one, I definitely need to get my money out to put into this one to then. But your point to my mate, Georgina, I need to find a lot more investors.
I think it's interesting, isn't it? Like, and I struggle as well with the psychology of raising money. We all have our own like quirks, our own way of viewing things. But at the end of the day, I get the impression that you're planning on being in the build phase for at least the next 5 years. So whether you put the money out to invest in 6 months or whether you put it out in 2 years, even if you get it out now, you're still going to want more money in 2 years. So like, and what Aaron did with us was we were looking at a deal where we like to bridge it to get money out, but then we're paying bridging costs, we're actually losing some of that money. Or do we put it on it for 2 years? So we're having exactly the same conversation but on a one house rather than a portfolio. And in the end we did it cash, so we had slightly cheaper than bridging costs, but more than fixed terms, so it was a bit in between.
We just raised extra 100k and we solved the problem. Neither of them just bought in cash.
So that's another option to look at. But what we were looking at with Aaron, and that's a calculation I think it would be good for me to do, is okay, if I'm basically paying to get my money out early. Firstly, you've got to make sure that money is coming out, and I have some reservations because you're not adding value and it's been stamped to land registry, so that will be for you to satisfy that you can achieve that. And then it's looking at, okay, what is the money that we need to spend? What's the cost of finance in effect to get that money out? And do I want to spend, say, 20,000 to get out my 500,000, or would I actually rather not pay 20,000, but then I'm willing to wait? When we worked it out, it was the equivalent of paying an investor about 8%. So we could just go out and loan money at 8%, and actually in real terms, our cost of finance in the business is the same. So it's just a different way of thinking about it. So if your cost of finance, let's say it's the equivalent of giving an investor 10%. Well, you can raise your AM at 10%. So don't worry about getting the money up. In real terms, and money coming in and out of the business is the same. So I just encourage you to have a look at that calculation, and that to me would dictate what you do. Because if it says actually it's the equivalent of lending to the investor at 6%, but you can only raise money at 8 to 10%, then obviously you want to get that. You want to pay the cost to get that money out. So for me, it's looking at the cost of finance.
I suppose, thank you for that. That's absolutely, I know I need to go away and do those numbers, but for me, it's the speed.
Just don't get psychologically blocked. I know what I'm say. I need to get that money out. Let the numbers do something.
Right. I think the most important is actually to do the deal, regardless which way. Just do the deal.
I agree.
And I think that's why here it's do the deal. Like it can be a bit better, a bit worse, whatever. But
and if you need more money, go out and raise it.
Just take one more because we're a little bit late. We can continue if necessary. But Chris,
consider vendor finance.
On which one?
So either.
Well, they've both got quite considerable debt on them.
Right.
So vendor finance is, they're not unencumbered, so vendor finance is going to be difficult. Otherwise, it was my first thing I was going to say. If they're unencumbered, Is that it? We have time for that.
Well, unless there's any, have you done your proposal on that? That was it. Sorry.
No further
Sorry. Can we continue with any more questions in the break or afterwards? Just because we're gasping for a cup of tea, or maybe. Yeah. So we're going to break now. Can I just we'll give Raj a quick round of applause. We've worked very hard to get that. Can I just ask if anyone has got a deal they want to put forward in case I've forgotten? Anybody got a deal? I thought Lorraine had, Then Greg's got a deal to show us, and of course Ian has, so we have got more to do. That's great, just couldn't remember, that's all. About 15 minutes.
It's alright.